Hey, how you guys feeling? So you've got your VMware set up, you've got Kali Linux, all these tools, you've got your first vulnerable app set up. You've got a lot of power and you got a lot of work ahead of you right now. So let's do this second vulnerable app onto your VM, which is called WebGoat. Now, WebGoat is a product of OWASP, and I kind of talked about that a little bit later. But WebGoat is a deliberately insecure web application maintained by OWASP. It's designed to teach web application security lessons. The program is a demonstration of common server-side security, and it is intended to be used by people to learn about application security and pen testing. And the cool thing about OWASP is, remember that disclaimer I put up right up front at the presentation? OAuth does the same exact thing. Nobody wants the liability. So WebGoat is next. We're going to work on this one. So I think the best way is let's get to the demo. Hey guys. So at this point, you should have your VMware set up, your virtualized environment. You should have Kali Linux loaded up and working. You should have DAM vulnerable web application up and running. And now we're going to get you set up with WebGoat. WebGoat is the other vulnerability app that we're going to be focused on today. So what we're going to do is I had to do some testing before I made a live video on this. So I had to download a couple of things. So we're going to get rid of those. Okay. So let's start off by trying to download it. We're going to do this through, a lot of it is going to be through the Windows type of environment. So no hard coding for you guys this time. Just a little bit. We're going to run one Java function, but it won't be too bad. So WebGoat. It is created by OWASP. And if you don't know who OWASP is, you should learn about them. OWASP is a body that every year they release um, a bulletin where they list the top 10 web application vulnerabilities that they're seeing around the world. So, as a pen tester, this was our Bible of where we want to focus our efforts because these are the type of things that are most vulnerable and most likely being gone after. So, definitely look into OWASP. So, OWASP has created this thing called WebGoat, right? So, what we're going to do is you're going to do a quick search on WebGoat GitHub. I believe that's what I had done here. Yes, so I did WebGoat space GitHub, and that brings me over here. I'm going to hit the 15 releases, and they make two different things. They make something called WebGoat, and they make something else which they're calling, well, it'll show up. I'll show you. It's called, God, why am I not remembering this? Oh, WebWolf. That's a whole different one. So what we're gonna do is once you come to this web page, you want to download the jar file, which is the Java file. And this one is actually pretty easy to set up compared to what we had done for the damn vulnerable web application. So we're gonna do a quick download of this. It'll take about 50 seconds. It is fairly quick. So once this thing gets downloaded, I'll show you the next steps here. There we go. We're gonna just save it. You know, one thing I don't like about this environment is that, or maybe I just haven't figured it out, but everything gets saved to the download folder. I mean, in my world, I would want everything saved directly to the desktop or something just for easy access, but whatever. Like, look at all the benefit you get out of it, right? So up here, you'll see there's less than a minute left. This will go fairly quickly, and while it's doing that, let's go and get prepped here. 16 seconds left. So we're going to go over to the download folder, and it's being downloaded again. So well, no, it's being downloaded now. So here's the partial download here. So when it finishes doing that, we will, there we go. Okay, so first and foremost, let's get it out of here and let's put it on our desktop. Okay, now again, just so we don't have to go and do all this extra typing later, we're going to simplify it. I'm going to right click, rename it, and we're going to call it WebGoat. Okay, I got rid of the server and the 8.00 because when we're doing the jar command later, it's less typing for you to worry about. So we've got WebGoat downloaded. We've got it put on our desktop. We've got it renamed. Now we're simply going to open up the terminal and we're going to run a Java function on it. Okay, so we know that it's on the desktop. So cd desktop, cd desktop. Okay, sorry, I can't spell, guys. Okay, now we're going to do java.jar webgoat.jar. So you're basically making use of that Java file, right? Lowercase w, lowercase g, and you simply just hit enter, and it will do something very soon. So while it's working its way through that, let's open up Firefox to start working here. So all windows, and over here, we're going to do localhost, and you can change what port this is running on, and you will need to change what port this is running on, because when you use like Pero's proxy, that also runs on port 8080. So does this. So you're gonna have to make a decision which one do you want running on 8080. So you can change that configuration on any one of these. So WebGoat. Now, even though we named it WebGoat lowercase, over here you're going to do WebGoat capital W capital G because it's reading the file, the jar file, right? And then start MVC. Okay, so before I hit enter, let's see, make sure that this is in fact doing its thing in the background. And yes, it is. Look, so it's kicked off. Now, the one thing about WebGoat you want to remember is that when you're using WebGoat, this terminal window in the background has to stay open. If you shut down the terminal window, it will shut down um, the application. The other thing that I want you to remember is remember in damn vulnerable web application, we had to manually go in and turn on the Apache server for it to work. In the case of this, look, it's already doing it as a part of the startup process. So let's go back to your window here and let's put in this command, localhost 8080, that's the port, webgoat start.mvc, and we failed. We failed miserably. So why did it fail here? Okay, so I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds to think about this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I gave you a few seconds to think about this. And the reason why it failed is because there's a lot going on in the background right now, and it's still booting up. So be patient with this one. Um, so when it is done, you will see a message that says it is done, and then you can go ahead and figure that out or reload it. Now, the cool thing is, and we'll talk more about this when it is fully downloaded, you've got challenges. So remember in damn vulnerable web application, you had levels, right? These difficulty level, low, medium, high, impossible. Over here, they have challenges, 1 through whatever the number goes to. And as you progress through these different challenges, the more complex and difficult it gets. So again, the goal here is to give you a little bit and let you work your way up. So I'm hoping you're going to enjoy this one as well. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to let it continue loading up. And then when it does, we'll open up Firefox again. We'll run that function again, and it should be up and running. So let's hang tight. Okay, guys. So it is fully loaded up now. So we're going to go ahead and try to make sure that it's working. Again, localhost 8080. That's the port on which this is running. Keep your fingers crossed. And there you have it. So it did load up. So there is no default username and password for this. So you actually have to register as a new user here. You can put whatever you want to put in here, right? You got to keep in mind that whatever data you put in here is going to be stored on your local device. It doesn't go anywhere outside. So let's do username Superman and now password. ABC123, ABC123. You got to agree with the terms and conditions. That basically says this is for educational purposes only. Everybody wants to get that out there because nobody wants the liability in the event that somebody goes and does something wrong. And there we go. So Superman is officially logged in. So, same deal, right? We have all the things here on the left side that show the type of vulnerabilities that you're going to be able to exploit. Injection flaws, we talked about that. Authentication flaws, that's basically if there is a gap in the way it's being authenticated, you can exploit it, right? And the fact that SSL may not be deployed, that might be another thing. Cross-site scripting, we talked about that. Access control flaws, insecure communication. Actually, this is where I think your um, God, that tool is skipping my mind now. That tool I talked about earlier, guys. What was it? Oh, Wireshark. That's what it is. Forgeries, we talked about that. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, right? You're gonna have the opportunity to kind of work your way through it. So again, when you saw it, going through and loading up all these exercises, level 1 through level 9, they're all going to be here. So work your way through this, get familiar with what kind of vulnerabilities there are, get familiar with the right type of tools that you should be using, and get at it, guys. So that's about it for this one. So we will see you in the next lesson, which is the external websites. See you guys. Okay, guys, so we're getting to the end here, and I know you will miss me dearly when this is all said and done, but I'm hoping you're getting some value out of this. So, at this point, we set up your virtualized environment, Kali Linux, damn vulnerable web application, and WebGoat, right? These things are all contained within your environment. So, we need to do now is what I want to do now is share with you a couple of external facing websites that are out there and vulnerable for the sake of you and going out there and trying things out. So um, work your way through your virtualized environment, get good at it, and then when you're ready, you go out to these websites. Okay. So the first one I want to talk to you about is called Hack This Site. You know, I'm not even running this on the virtual machine. It's still this slow. Can you believe that? So it's hackthisite.org, and this is deliberately put out there for you to hack it. Okay, so they have missions over here, and again, these things work their way up. So depending on what it is that you've gotten good at, you're gonna go over here and try to continue exploiting it. You are gonna have to register for this site. So keep that in mind. You know, my only advice to you here is understand what you're dealing with. Okay, you're dealing with a site that is made for hacking. Okay, I know that by default, humans have a tendency to use the same username and password across the board. And I have exploited that before, and I would give you the details about that, but I would get in trouble. But make sure that you use something very, very not standard when you're logging into these sites. So just an FYI. So they have a lot of cool things over here. They have the basic missions, realistic missions. Little by little, they work their way up. You're going to be looking at application missions, right? This is both going to be from a um, like an exe type of application to a web application, JavaScript mission. We talked a little bit about that in the cross-site scripting stuff I told you about. Forensics mission, that you're going to get a little bit out of. This is where you're going to get to use some of the tools the forensics tools that were found in Kali Linux, steganography, that is the process of hiding messages within messages. So a lot of cool stuff here, but my advice to you is work your way up to this. Don't jump to it right away. And then the other one I wanted to share with you was Testfire. So Testfire is a lot of fun. So it is a fake banking website. Okay. So up here, it looks like a standard website from a banking standpoint. Down here is the disclaimer. This is a website published for the sole purpose of demonstrating effectiveness of products and detecting web application vulnerabilities and defects. This is not a real banking website. So, cool thing is you get to mess around here. And you need to, again, if you're going to create an account here, be very careful. Don't use your username and password because you don't know who's getting that on the other side. Okay? So, these are the external websites. Work your way up to them. Okay? I haven't used this one much myself, but I have used the other one that we looked at, Hack the Site. So what you learn in your contained environment is going to be a good boost up as you work your way to Hack the Site. So take that for what it is, and I will see you in the next video in which I believe we start closing out. Okay? Thanks, guys. All right, guys, you made it. You guys finally made it. So here we are at the conclusion. Okay, I want to take a few minutes to kind of reiterate some of the things I talked about earlier and make sure we really drive these points home. And again, I want to hit on the takeaways I mentioned earlier. So set up your own lab. You've done that. Be very careful. If you turn something on, make sure you turn it off. Segregate from the network. Take your time, exploit, research what you don't understand. Trust me on this, guys. You are going to get more out of taking the extra time in learning what worked and what didn't work than you are actually doing the pen testing. That's where you're going to learn. Do not forget that step. Think about remediation. Honestly, that's where the money's at. Don't hack at external websites. Again, this course is for educational purposes only. Please be safe with that and work your way up. So what I mean by this last new bullet point is that you have these contained, controlled environments with Damn Vulnerable Web App and WebGoat. Get in there, get through the different levels, get comfortable, and then work your way to the external websites that I shared with you. Once you're there, you're good to go. And lastly, I want to say thank you again very much. I appreciate the purchase of this course. And if you happen to be a member of Facebook, we would love to have you as a part of training camp. Hear your feedback, hear your thoughts, hear feedback from you, what kind of courses we should be making in the near future. So you can look them up on IS Training Camp.